What's up, Star Wars fans? Today I want to talk about Season 2 of The Bad Batch and who we might see die by the end of this season. That's right, we're talking about which characters might die by the end of this season. And yes, even though this is an animation series, we have seen Star Wars animation characters killed off in the past. But of course, Dave Filoni and his team aren't going to do this without a good reason. And I think the reason one of the major characters or even a minor character in The Bad Batch may die at the end of Season 2 is to help the young character Omega continue to mature. Certainly in Star Wars The Clone Wars, we see Ahsoka go through a major transition from Season 2 to 3, and the same is true for Ezra Bridger in Star Wars Rebels, a major transition for his character from Season 2 to 3. Now there's no guarantee that The Bad Batch is going to have a Season 3 yet, but I'm betting that Dave Filoni and team will have Omega go through a major transition from Season 2 to 3, just like those characters. And at the end of Season 2, Ezra Bridger believes that Ahsoka dies and his master becomes injured and blinded, which forces him to mature as a young man. So again, something similar could be coming at the end of Season 2 for Omega, as it is a long-standing tradition in Star Wars that mentors often sacrifice themselves. Whether it's Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope or Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, selfless mentors often sacrifice themselves. And of course, when it comes to The Bad Batch, Omega has quite a few different mentors. And the most obvious of these mentors is no doubt Hunter. Really in Season 1 and to a lesser extent in Season 2, Omega and Hunter were the main characters of this season. A lot of what Hunter is trying to do for Omega is give her a normal childhood, something of course he never had and none of the other clones had either. But that said, Hunter and the other clones are also teaching Omega to be a young soldier, how to look out for herself and be independent, and so really Hunter or any of the Bad Batch clones, they could end up sacrificing themselves to save Omega in some sort of selfless act. Although Season 2 might be a little early when it comes to one of the clones sacrificing themselves. So then who else might end up sacrificing themselves for Omega? And while this prediction is a bit of a long shot, I think Sid might actually be the one to die at the end of Season 2. I know Sid is a very selfish character at this point in the Bad Batch, but wouldn't it be interesting to see her develop into a selfless character, or at least to a point where she's willing to make a sacrifice to protect the Bad Batch or Omega specifically? That would certainly take a lot of character development, but is something that is possible to see, and it would also make a lot of sense from a story standpoint. I believe the next progression of the Bad Batch is to start helping Rex, rescuing clones, and if Sid dies at the end of this season, then that isn't an option for Season 3, and therefore it would force them to work with Rex, one of the only other contacts that they have right now. So Sid dying actually makes a lot of sense. Not only would it have a great impact on Omega and help that character persevere and mature, but it would also force the Bad Batch to progress and evolve from running these meaningless missions. That said, there is definitely one other character on my radar that could definitely see their end at the end of Season 2, and that character is Crosshair. He is such an interesting character that I think they might keep him around, but at the same time, it would definitely have a major impact if Crosshair turned against the Empire, sacrificed himself to save his brothers. But here's the thing when it comes to Crosshair, would his death really have a major impact on Omega and help her transform into a more mature character in Season 3? Possibly, but I think we'd have to see Crosshair leave the Empire, rejoin the Bad Batch, and then sacrifice himself after he's made more of a connection with Omega. But hey, Star Wars fans, let me know what you think. Will we see any of our characters die in the Bad Batch Season 2? As always, I'm Mike, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.